People started realizing that investors were reading Techpoint.
Coming from a place where there were tech blogs.
Carries this hobbyist connotation, and then when you start asking people to pay for services, it's like, well, these hobbyists, they're asking for money.
And then we're coming to say we're doing journalism. There was no framework, right?
They used to tell us, this person reached out that they raised money because of our story.
Now, Nigeria's tech industry seems to be the cynosure of global tech eyes, as it has played host to CEOs of the most used social media apps, that's Google, Facebook, and Twitter.
I was in the US then. I was hearing news that the CEO of Twitter in Nigeria, they're literally in our Techpoint office.
Everything just started with, can we do this? What's this opportunity? And start reaching out to people.
There was never any hype. Any excitement that we had to things was never from a place of hype. You know, this is happening, that is happening. It was never from that place. It was more an anticipation of the potential impacts that this was going to have on our work, our ecosystem.
We need to do it. And I would love for you to maybe consider come joining the company and help us.
Techpoint's core is figuring out people who people don't know. So the stories that really matter.
I liked that from this very small, cheeky story, somebody's life was changed. It felt like I was the only one who didn't have prior experience with writing. I don't know if that's true.
We was doing the internship program for writers, where we had writers come in, and then so the next batch of writers that really came in through the internship program.
These new interns came in, and it was like they were coming with new energy.
I liked the application process. So it was like call for internship, send me, was it like a 40-word pitch?
For the subsequent one, they gave us like 3 topics, and they asked you to just pick one and just develop like a 300-word opinion piece. Bear in mind that I didn't think that this was a journalism gig. I thought it was social media.
And we came on board in 2017.
Wale would say, go and sit in the camera. You've never done it before. You don't know what to say. You don't know what to do. And he'll tell you, do it. And you would think he would not post it because it was that horrible. And he will post it and tell you, you'll do it better next time.
There were a series of stories that came out back then that really I just found very different and interesting.
The reason why Evans was not caught much early was because he kept on buying new SIMs, right? And I was wondering, like, where was he getting the SIMs from? So the story angle was that, are people actually selling these SIMs? And what was that approach? So I took my phone, took pictures of people buying box SIMs, right, at an MTN office. Pretty much something of those things. That's what Techpoint allows you to do. Right? I think if I was on my way there, it wasn't as if I knew I was going to write a story. But right there, I saw things happen. And I was telling me right there on Slack that this is what I'm seeing here. And I was sending him pictures. I was like, there's a story here, there's a story here, there's a story here.
Any excitement that we had to things was never from a place of hype. You know, this is happening, that is happening. It was never from that place. It was more an anticipation of the potential impacts that this was going to have on our work, our ecosystem.
Base was sort of like, where you can discover developers, you can discover like creative people, you can discover like marketing people, people in UI, UX, people in design, product management, product design, or all of those things. Techpoint Startup School was a very big catalyst. It was probably the first major encounter that I had with the ecosystem at the time. That's when I started meeting players. Prior to that, a lot of my friends were not entrepreneurs, were 9-to-5 people, right? That's when I started making entrepreneur friends, and we learned a lot on the program too. Really just that you don't need permission to dream big. Dorsey came, Dr. LaBrown came, and he came as well, though he joined virtually at the time. He spoke to us too. Just looking at how we've even evolved till then, at the time we're like 5 people we're not even in Surulere, we're still in my house. We used to work from my couch, right? The co-founders and one NYC staff. And then somebody joined us later. And just looking at the progress, a lot of those people I met during Techpoint Startup School have been integral to us, growing from where we were, a 5-man team to close to a 100-man team today. So I would say it's been pivotal in my journey, and I would always
talk about Techpoint Startup School when I'm talking about our journey, because it was one of those key things that happened in the first 12 months of our business.
Coming from a place where there were tech blogs.
Carries this hobbyist connotation, and then when you start asking people to pay for services, it's like, well, these hobbyists, they're asking for money.
And then we're coming to say we're doing journalism. There was no framework, right?
The turning point that I talked about was when they seemed to be unsure about their identity. What are we? Are we a tech company? Are we a technology company? Or are we a media company?
I remember fighting with people at the time when they called me a blogger. And they would be like, oh, I'm not a blogger, I'm not a blogger. Back and forth. Then I talked to one session we had with Dr. Richard, who was something of a mentor, advisor for us at the time. It was very pivotal to me. And I think I mentioned it. And he said, if you say you're a journalist and people say you're not a journalist, what do? Don't argue with them. Show them that you're a journalist. If you can't show them, you're not a journalist.
If that is your leaning, then we have to give you education in media and how to run a media outfit. I could have done that myself, but I felt there was somebody better to do it. So I brought in Taiwo Bay.
I tried to redefine technology beyond high tech. I wanted them to look at technology broadly, that for me, I thought was going to make a difference.
There was a particular story. There's this guy that used to work here. I don't know if you heard him, Victor. Where yeah. And he did a story. I think the title of the article was how technology could help the dry fish market.
This story also is very pivotal. It was a very pivotal moment for us because it redefined what we thought about as tech.
And I like how deep it was. There was a lot of primary research.
I'm visiting the Federal Institute of Research in Oshodi. I'm talking to people that export this thing.
He went to the market, he took pictures, he got data. And I felt, oh, these guys are doing something interesting.
As a result of that story, I won 2 awards, like 2 journalism awards, right? One in Nigeria, the PwC Media Excellence Award. The other one is in Ghana, West African Media Excellence Awards.
3 different experiences shaped my story about the long lost city back to its lost glory. And here we did what we could do, and we're happy that it got some recognition. Not from me, but because the city has a lot of potential. And I'm happy with what's happening there today.
Techpoint has really been critical. It continues to be critical. So I always would check reports that Techpoint releases to get insights on where the industry is going.
They say data is king, and it's actually accurate because you need data to make an informed decision. You need data to know where you are coming from, and in most cases you also need that same data to know where you are going, because it tells a lot of story. Aside reports, we also do insights. So read insights and people like quotes in their own conversations.
I liked my remote work story because at the time it was something I was personal about, and I was at that point where I was like, see, I come to this office, but like I have writer's block. Can you people consider remote work? So I was writing that story and I was talking to Wale, right? Because like you need to give us remote work options. I liked that story, and then I liked my apprenticeship story.
Obviously, the Quarter Reclines one was like top 3. And it's not because the story was that great, it was just the things that came out of it.
Nigeria's tech industry seems to be the cynosure of global tech eyes, as it has played host to CEOs of the most used social media apps, that's Google, Facebook, and Twitter.
I was in the US then. I was hearing news that the CEO of Twitter is in Nigeria. They're literally in our Techpoint office. So, because I see Techpoint as it doesn't get better than this.
Again, that was all on the Wale.
He tweeted, hey, I want to visit Lagos, Nigeria, all those things.
I think he had gone to the US that year, and he had met a contact at Twitter.
His name is actually Babatunde Fashola. So he came, he's a software developer at Twitter.
And then he pushed for that. right? Of course, Dorsey was already planning to come to Nigeria, and then we were just well positioned to be the people to host him.
We need to do it. And I would love for you to maybe consider come joining the company and help us.
Techpoint's core is figuring out people who people don't know. So the stories that really matter.
I liked that from this very small, cheeky story, somebody's life was changed.
In terms of how it felt on the backdrop of, I'm probably not the right person to ask that kind of thing, because I'm not stuck in that. I've moved on from I've already moved on from the whole soccer big thing. So yeah, I should try and like bask in those kind of moments much more, appreciate them. For me, I was more about, okay, what stories can we do now about this one?
We were so caught up in making sure that we made the best of this that we didn't even make the Mark Zuckerberg connection that you just made immediately, right? A few years back, somebody of this same status comes to Nigeria and we were literally denied access. Then a few years down the line, this person is coming to be hosted in an AMA of sorts in our office, yeah? We didn't make that connection immediately because we're just too busy.
It was a good moment. It was definitely a great moment. I saw a change in how people, would address us, or like maybe they saw me and how they spoke to us, or wanted to like connect with you and all of that. People reaching out. So it was definitely a huge moment.
Those are just some good moments. Strategic moment. And the honest truth is everything just started with, can we do this? What's this opportunity? And start reaching out to people.
Jack Dorsey's visit was definitely a high point for the team, without a doubt. But I also remember guiding the team that time and letting them understand that all eyes are on us now. People are looking at us from where we go from here. But it was okay to also appreciate and acknowledge how far we've come, because it felt like a culmination of all our efforts up until that moment. Like the saying goes, everything above zero compounds. But what we didn't know was that there was another turning point waiting for us, and this time it was halfway across the world in Wuhan, and it was coming for all of us.